You want to survive your first night at a biker bar? Then listen close, because one wrong patch, one bad joke, or one fake brother could get your teeth rattled. This isn't a joke. These are the fastest ways to get your ass kicked at a biker bar. Don't do this. Number 7. Wearing a Sons of Anarchy vest in public. There are bad ideas. And then there's wearing a Sons of Anarchy vest to a real biker bar. It doesn't matter if you love the show. It doesn't matter if your grandma bought it for you. If you walk into the wrong place wearing that thing, someone might just help you take it off, with force. Let's break it down. Sons of Anarchy is a fictional television show about a fictional outlaw motorcycle club. It aired from 2008 to 2014, and it made a massive cultural impact. But while some fans understood it was just TV, others thought they could play dress-up with the real-world culture that inspired it. That's where the trouble starts. To an outsider, that vest might just be a collectible. But to a real club member, or even an independent rider with time on the road, it's blatant disrespect. It signals that you don't know the rules, haven't earned a thing, and worst of all, think this lifestyle is just some edgy costume party. And when you wear patches that mimic the format of real motorcycle club colors, like a top rocker, bottom rocker, and center logo, you're not just paying tribute. You're stepping into territory that was earned through blood, sweat, and decades of tradition. The reaction? Not good. There are dozens of stories from across the country of fights breaking out over TV club cosplay. In Sturgis, a guy in a Suns vest was publicly thrown out of a bar by real club members. In Daytona, one fan was told to remove the vest immediately or get carried out still wearing it. The message was clear. This isn't a joke, and pretending to be part of a brotherhood you don't belong to is a fast track to trouble. And it's not just the patch design, it's what it represents. Real clubs operate under protocols. There are hierarchies, rules, and deeply rooted codes of respect. When someone walks in wearing a knockoff version of that culture, it's not just embarrassing, it's seen as a challenge. Like showing up to a military reunion in a fake uniform and saluting the wrong way. Now, if you're still thinking, but it's just a show, man, that's part of the problem. You wouldn't wear a Navy SEAL trident and start barking orders at a bar filled with veterans, would you? Same principle. Wearing a Suns vest in public tells everyone watching that you're clueless, reckless, or both, and it doesn't stop at getting laughed at or kicked out. Some folks have had their vests torn off their backs and burned. Others have been banned from events or rallies permanently. In the worst cases, people have caught a serious beating just for trying to look cool. If you really respect the culture, don't fake it. Earn your place, ride your miles, learn the rules, make your own memories. A vest should tell your story, not copy someone else's fantasy. So do yourself a favor, leave the Suns gear at home. Or better yet, donate it to a Halloween shop where it belongs. But believe it or not, there's something even dumber than dressing like a fake outlaw. Number 6, patching up like a club when you're not one. There's dressing for the ride, and then there's dressing like you want trouble. And if there's one way to get your ass kicked faster than running your mouth, it's patching up like you belong to a motorcycle club when you don't. Here's the deal. Real motorcycle clubs operate on tradition, structure, and respect. And the one thing they take more seriously than their bikes is their patch. Those cuts you see, they're not just decoration, they're earned. That back patch isn't some souvenir you pick up at Daytona Bike Week. It's a symbol of brotherhood, earned through years of loyalty, service, and sometimes sacrifice. So when a random rider strolls into a bar wearing a 3-piece patch setup, complete with top rocker, center emblem, and bottom rocker, especially if that bottom rocker names a city or state, they're sending the wrong message, loud and clear. Even if it says independent, no club, or just has a skull with some flames, a rocker setup can be seen as a challenge. It doesn't matter that you bought it off the shelf or stitched it on because you thought it looked cool. If it mimics club structure, it raises eyebrows. If it claims territory, it raises fists. You might be thinking, come on, it's just a vest. But to the clubs that live by the patch, it's never just a vest. It's a code, one that when broken invites consequences. You might walk into a bar proud of your custom leather and walk out with it cut off your back. If you're lucky, even Harley-branded gear has gotten guys in hot water. You know those vests with the skull in the middle, a Harley-Davidson top rocker, and USA or a state name as the bottom rocker? That's a three-piece layout. And while Harley might sell it, clubs don't care. To them, that format means something specific. If you're not in a club, don't wear something that looks like you are. Let's break it down even further. A patch that says, "Lone Wolf No Club" with top and bottom rockers. That's like yelling, "I don't play by your rules," in a room full of people who made the rules. Best case, you're laughed at. Worst case, you're escorted outside for a little conversation about what that patch really means. A safer move: wear rally patches. Wear patches from trips, memorial rides, charity events. Patches that tell your story, not someone else's. And keep them on the front or sides of your vest, not trying to fill out your back like you're some kind of outlaw. Trust us, everyone knows the difference, and so do the clubs. As for gear choices, go simple. Stick to solo top patches if you want to represent a cause or slogan. Avoid anything that wraps your vest like a club cut unless you've actually earned it through proper channels. And never ever claim a location unless you're ready to defend it. Because in that world, territory still matters. In the end, you can ride wherever you want, wear what you want, and be proud of your journey. Just don't confuse the road you're on with one that someone else built and bled for. Patches are dangerous, but your mouth might be worse, because the next move will get you in trouble before your jacket even comes off. If you're learning something now that no one ever told you before, you're not alone. Hit subscribe. We're just getting started. Number 5. Running your mouth without backup. There are unwritten rules at every biker bar across America, and one of the fastest ways to break them is by running your mouth without having the respect, the crew, or the track record to back it up. This isn't a movie. There are no rehearsed lines, no backup dancers, and no stunt doubles to pull you out when the situation turns real. If you walk into a bar full of patched riders and start mouthing off like you own the place, you better be ready to prove it, with your fists, or worse. One of the worst things a rider can do is mistake silence for weakness. In a bar where old-school loyalty, club affiliation, and mutual respect carry more weight than money or chrome, flapping your gums can get you labeled as either ignorant, arrogant, or both. And trust me, neither ends well. Most experienced riders who actually have pull, they sit quietly, they observe, they nod, they let their reputation speak louder than their voice. If you're the loudest guy in the room, chances are you have the least to say. And it doesn't just stop at volume. It's the comments you make, the jokes you tell, the shade you throw without knowing who's listening. You might think you're being funny or bold, but what you see as swagger someone else might see as a challenge. And in a bar full of men and women who live by codes you don't even understand, challenges are answered fast and hard. Here's the truth. Some of the meanest looking, roughest dressed guys at the bar are the most respectful stand-up people you'll ever meet. But their patience isn't infinite. You start getting loud about club politics, bike brands, who's a poser or who rides what, and suddenly you've got 5 pairs of eyes watching your every move. That's not attention. That's a warning. And if you're thinking, well, I can handle myself, good luck with that. Because you're not just picking a fight with one guy, you're disrespecting an entire code, one built on decades of blood, sweat, and road miles. You're stepping into a tradition you don't belong to, pretending to swing with the heavyweights when you haven't even laced up your gloves. Want a real-world example? Ask around any biker bar and you'll hear a story about some loudmouth in a new leather jacket, rolling in on a showroom fresh cruiser, ordering a drink, and then calling someone's ride a girl's bike. That guy usually doesn't finish his drink because he's either dragged out, shoved out, or politely removed by the bartender who's seen it a dozen times before. It's not about being scared. It's about understanding respect. You can have opinions. You can even have preferences. But if you run your mouth without showing humility, the bar will humble you, and it won't be gentle. So if you want to survive a biker bar, talk less, listen more, observe before acting, and if you do speak, speak with respect. Earn your place, because the loudest guy is often the first to get tested, and when the testing starts, it's too late to backpedal. Think you're safe just sipping a beer quietly. Think again, because the next mistake doesn't require a single word, just the wrong patch. Number 4. Trying to impress with tall tales. Nothing gets you labeled a poser faster than spinning tall tales at a biker bar. Maybe you've ridden a few hundred miles, hit a rally or two, and think you've seen it all. But trying to impress hardcore riders with stories that sound too good to be true. Bad move. Biker bars are places built on respect, loyalty, and experience. The people inside aren't there to hear about your supposed adventures across the Rockies or your epic run-ins with rival clubs. They're there to unwind, share stories with people who've been through the real grind, and connect over a common passion: riding. So when a new face rolls in, talking big and throwing around grandiose tales, eyebrows start to rise. And not in admiration. Most seasoned bikers have lived enough life on the road to know what's possible and what's pure fiction. They know the difference between a legit story of hitting Route 66 with nothing but a packed saddlebag and a tall tale about surviving a desert run with nothing but a can of soda and a toolkit. They can spot a made-up war story about club rivalries from a mile away. If your tales don't add up, they'll call you on it, loudly and directly. And there are a few telltale signs that your story doesn't hold water, and the regulars know them all. For one, if you're dropping club names without actually being affiliated, that's a fast track to a beatdown. Claiming to know so-and-so from a well-known club might seem impressive to your buddies back home, but in a biker bar, people know each other, or know someone who does. Your lie might reach the wrong ears. Another red flag is when you start describing runs that don't match reality. Riders who've done coast-to-coast trips know the terrain, the challenges, and the unforgettable spots along the way. They remember the grueling climbs, the unpredictable weather, and the hours of solitude. So when you claim to have made a record-breaking trip with 0 problems and no breakdowns, you might as well have just painted fraud on your vest. One of the worst offenses is bragging about fights or confrontations that never happened. Some guys feel the need to sound tough, claiming they handled some guy who disrespected them at a rally or squared up with a rival club. Real bikers know that fights aren't taken lightly, and starting a brawl at a rally can have serious repercussions, both legally and within the community. Bragging about fictional brawls only shows that you've got more imagination than experience, and that's a problem. When your story doesn't add up, it doesn't take long for people to catch on. You'll notice skeptical glances, and before you know it, the questions start flying. Who'd you ride with? What route did you take? If you fumble your answers, the vibe shifts from casual to confrontational fast. Worst case, someone who knows the truth calls you out, and suddenly you're not just a storyteller, you're a poser. Instead of trying to impress, just be real. Share your actual experiences, even if they're not epic. Bikers respect honesty over exaggerated tales every time. They'd rather hear a genuine story than a fabricated saga. Bottom line, don't bluff your way into respect. It never works, and it can end badly. Number 3. Rocking a 1%er patch without knowing what it means. You want to get your ass kicked at a biker bar? Rocking a 1%er patch without knowing what it means is one of the fastest ways to make it happen. This little diamond-shaped patch might seem like just another edgy design to slap on a vest, but in the motorcycle world it means something serious, and it's not something you want to fake. After a rowdy biker incident at a rally in Hollister, California, the American Motorcyclist Association tried to do damage control by saying that 99% of motorcyclists were law-abiding citizens, implying that the remaining 1% were outlaws. Some outlaw motorcycle clubs took that label and wore it as a badge of honor. Today, that patch still means you belong to a club that lives outside the rules. It's not a gimmick, it's a legacy, one built on loyalty, respect, and sometimes violence. So what happens when someone walks into a bar wearing one of these patches without earning it? They don't get a free beer. They get questioned, confronted, and possibly escorted outside for a conversation that could include fists. Clubs do not take kindly to posers. Wearing a 1%er patch without belonging to an actual 1%er club is like showing up to a military base wearing medals you didn't earn. At best, you're an idiot. At worst, you're deliberately disrespecting the men who did earn them. You can buy a 1%er patch anywhere: flea markets, online vendors, patch shops at bike rallies. But just because you can doesn't mean you should. Putting it on your vest when you're not part of a club is a loud, obnoxious way of saying, "I want to get my ass kicked by people who actually live this life." Real 1%er clubs have their own rules, their own rituals, and their own justice systems. If they see someone pretending, they will handle it. That might mean a warning. That might mean taking your vest. That might mean a beatdown in the parking lot while your buddies stare at their beer, pretending they don't know you. It's not about being macho. It's about protecting something sacred. And if you think nobody will notice, think again. These guys know patches. They know the shape, the stitch, the placement, and the meaning. If it's fake, they can tell in a second. And if it's real, they know exactly what it means, which is why it's so dangerous to mess around with it. So here's the rule. If you have to ask what a 1%er patch means, you shouldn't be wearing one. Stick to event patches. Stick to club-neutral slogans. Stick to stuff that tells your story, not someone else's. You don't need a diamond to be a biker. You just need a bike and respect for the road and the culture that comes with it. Want to show your personality? Great. Just don't claim someone else's history, because in this world, history fights back. Now, this next one might seem harmless, but it's more offensive than you think. Number 2, lone wolf. No club, but repping a territory. At first glance, it might look like a harmless patch, a howling wolf, maybe a skull and a statement like, "Lone wolf, no club." To the casual rider, it's just a way of saying you ride solo, no affiliations, no politics. But in the world of motorcycle clubs, especially in places where territory matters, that patch could be the worst thing you wear into a bar. The idea behind the lone wolf patch started as a way for independent riders to show that they weren't interested in joining a club. Nothing wrong with that, if you truly mean it. But the second that lone wolf patch sits between two rockers, especially with a state or city stitched into the bottom, the meaning changes completely. Suddenly, it's no longer about independence. It looks like a territory claim. And in club culture, that's not just a faux pas, it's a challenge. Territory rockers are sacred in motorcycle culture. Clubs don't just slap their state name on a vest because it looks good. It's earned, sometimes fought for, and always defended. So when an independent rider walks into a bar wearing a bottom rocker that says something like Florida, he might not realize he just walked into someone else's backyard and planted a flag. Now picture this. A guy rolls into a popular biker hangout. He's got the classic lone wolf patch, top and bottom rockers, and the word Florida blazing across his lower back. His patches are sparkling clean. No road grime, no creases. Dead giveaway that it's probably brand new. He thinks he looks cool. But across the room, sitting quietly at a back table, are 7 members of a support club affiliated with the dominant 1%er club in the region. And they notice. They've earned the right to wear their patch. This guy hasn't. And what looks like an innocent attempt at self-expression to him looks like open disrespect to them. Within minutes, they're talking about whether they should walk over, take him outside, and explain, physically, why you don't rock that setup unless you're prepared to defend it. In this particular case, a seasoned rider at the bar noticed the tension, pulled the guy aside, and explained what was about to go down. He told him to lock that vest up in his bike and deal with the patch situation later. The guy complied, luckily, but he had no idea how close he came to a hospital visit, or worse, all because of a patch he thought was harmless. If you're truly a lone wolf, be one. Ride solo. Stay out of the politics. But don't walk around wearing club-style patches that mimic the very thing you're trying to avoid. Skip the rockers. Avoid territorial claims. Keep your vest about you, not about some statement that can be misread as aggression. Your cut should tell your story, where you've ridden, what you've accomplished, what you love. It shouldn't tell someone else's story, or worse, disrespect theirs. Patches matter, and in the right bar, in the wrong town, they can mean the difference between a good night and a hospital bill. And finally, the fastest way to get curb checked before your beer's even cold. Number 1. Acting like you belong when you don't. There's a reason this one tops the list. It's not the patch on your back or the bike you ride. It's not even the way you look. It's the way you act. And nothing gets you thrown out of a biker bar faster than pretending to be something you're not. You could be in jeans and a t-shirt or rocking a black leather cut. But if you walk into a bar full of real club members acting like you're one of them, you're going to get tested, fast. Real club guys know how to spot a fake within seconds. It's in the way you carry yourself, how you talk, how you listen. You don't need to claim respect. They decide if you earn it. If you start calling someone brother and you haven't shared a single mile or moment with them, you've already stepped way out of line. The word brother is earned through years, not minutes. It doesn't stop there. Some dudes roll in acting like they've got club ties because their uncle's buddy's cousin rode with someone back in the 80s. They drop names, throw around insider lingo, and brag about stories they heard secondhand. That's the fastest way to get the wrong kind of attention. Because if even one thing you say doesn't add up, you're going to be called out hard. The test might not come right away. In fact, it rarely does. You might get a nod and a beer, then suddenly find yourself being grilled by someone who's seen more than you ever will. That's when you realize it wasn't a friendly welcome. It was a setup to see if you were full of it. And when you are, they don't forget. Worse, they don't forgive. If you're trying to impress your buddies or show off for social media, take it somewhere else. That act might get laughs at home, but it can get your teeth rearranged at the wrong table. Especially if you step into a place where a dominant club has a known presence. These are not the guys to play dress up with. They know the rules because they live them. They will expect you to know them too, and ignorance is not an excuse. There are ways to earn real respect in this world. Shut up, listen, buy around, and stay in your lane. If you do that, most bikers will treat you like family, even if you don't wear a patch. They care more about honesty than image. But try to cheat your way into that world. Pretend you're one of them when you're not. That's when it all goes sideways. This isn't a threat. It's a fact of life in the biker world. Walk into their space and act like you know the rules. You better know the rules. And if you don't, keep it humble. Ask questions. Listen more than you talk. No one ever got into trouble for being too respectful. But plenty of guys have eaten asphalt for trying to be a tough guy. If you're going to walk into their world, don't pretend to be something you're not. Because in this world, your patch doesn't define you. Your behavior does. And if you act like a poser, you're going to get exposed fast. If you learned something today, show some respect. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment with the worst patch mistake you've ever seen. Let's hear it.